welcome back to This Takes the Cake. We are here with Jen Trotter, who is with Lip Service Makeup out of Dallas, Texas. I've always wanted to be from Texas, so I think it's pretty cool that you live there.
I love living there. It's such an awesome place to live, and awesome for people who are in the wedding and event industry.
Right? It's a huge market.
It is a very robust market. So sometimes people ask me, like, oh, do you have to travel? I'm like, really don't have to.
Right?
I don't know the number, but I think we're like the 4th wedding market in the country right now.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's really big.
All right. So you don't look a day over 30, but you've been in the industry for over 30 years now?
Yes.
What?
I've been doing hair and makeup professionally for 33 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And I've had lip service.
So you started when you were like 8?
Yeah, I was 4. So no, not really. I was in my 20s when I started. And I created lip service 27 years ago and started doing weddings about that time. People who are younger may not realize this, but people did not hire bridal beauty pros prior to that. So like
Interesting.
They didn't. I mean, if you were fancy, maybe you'd go to Neiman's or something.
Right.
People would go to their like regular salon and have their regular hairstylist do their hair. But generally, there was not really, even fancy people didn't really have a bridal beauty pro come out.
Like an on-site person to come out. Yeah, now that you say that, sure.
It was just not really a thing, and it started becoming a thing.
Convenience.
It started becoming a thing, and my first couple of years, I did commercial work. I was a model, and I was not a very good model. It's hard to be a model. You think it's just sitting there and being cute, and it's not. It's not. It's so much more. Right. But I landed voiceover work. My voice sounds scratchy today because I'm getting over a cold.
You do have a really nice voice.
Oh, thank you. It's. I feel like it's a little rough today, but normally my voice is deep and smooth, which is really great for voiceover work. And I was on-air talent. I did commercials, marketing videos. I filmed a video that was for Caltex Oil. That was their monthly newsletter, but in video form.
Oh, cool.
I hosted a TV show in Dallas called Dallas Music Videos.
Fun.
So
I was done it all.
I've done all kinds of interesting things. So I was the person behind the camera and showing up with my makeup ready to go. Right. And they would love that because they'd be like, okay, she's ready.
She's camera ready. She doesn't need any help.
Yeah. And one day, one of the production companies I worked for reached out and they're like, hey, we'd like for you to go to Arizona. We're shooting a commercial as our makeup artist. And I was like, what? I don't do that. And they're like, yes, you do. Yeah. And I was like,
that's amazing.
All right, sure. And really what it was is they just thought that I was nice and fun and easy to work with and a hard worker. Like they knew that I would be on time, be pleasant, make the clients feel comfortable, and do everything I could to make the shoot go smoothly. And the makeup artist they were using at that time was not delivering that type of service.
Wasn't giving that vibe.
She wasn't giving that vibe. So it's a funny story I like to share because don't discount just like being nice and easy to work with. I literally built an entire career on starting that. I got my big break by being kind of nice and kind of cool and easy to work with.
It goes a long way, though.
It does go a long way.
All right, so you were featured on the Netflix show Love is Blind.
Yes.
Please tell us about that.
Okay, so I get a call, and I do TV and film. It's not my main thing that our team does, but I do some TV and film, so my name is out there. So I got a call from a Netflix producer, and they said,
That's so cool.
We are filming here in Dallas, and we want your team to do our weddings. And they said some of the people may have their own people that they want to hire locally. Right. Because everyone that season, it was the Dallas season, of course. Of course, yeah. So everyone is from Dallas-Fort Worth. So some of the people have their own team that they want to use, but they're like, we need you to do at least 3 or 4 of the weddings. And we're like, okay. So I went to my team because I had to make sure that we were available on the dates and that everyone wanted to do it and we could fill all of those spots. And so the team was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I had to sign a pretty hardcore NDA, probably the most hardcore NDA I've ever signed.
I'm sure it was crazy.
It was crazy because it filmed a year before it aired. So I could tell people, like, if I just one-on-one, I could be like, hey, I worked on this show. Yeah. But I couldn't post anything about it, and I couldn't tell anybody who I worked with and who was on it. Because that was such a long, it would ruin the experience for the viewers. Right, yeah. So I'll tell you a funny story about Love is Blind. Tell me. My hairstylist, so I had one team, we did Raven's wedding, Zeneb's wedding, and Colleen's wedding.
Okay, cool.
So girls on my team did Raven. Raven had her own artist for herself. We did everyone else. Zeneb, we did everybody, including Zeneb. There's not a lot of footage because neither one got married. There's a little bit behind the scenes, but not much. So the last day was the only day that I could do. And so it was myself and my lead hairstylist, Priscilla, who's been with me for 11 years.
Okay.
She's been doing hair for 30 years. I've been doing makeup for 30 years. And we're pulling up to the venue and we're like, I'm nervous. Are you nervous? She goes, I'm nervous too. It's because we've never done reality TV before. And it just felt like this is so, it's interesting how a hardcore veteran can still get nervous if it's a situation you've never been in.
Right.
Like just a
So was it pretty staged or not really?
It was not really staged, but it was at a venue we've worked at before. Okay. And so that was still during the time they made us do multiple COVID tests. Like I had to do a COVID test, wait, do another one, wait.
Oh my gosh.
To go on set. But then once we were up in the bridal suite, we've been there many times, so that felt pretty normal. The space they gave us to set up was really small because they had to walk the cameras around you. Right. So they didn't give us as much room as normal just for aesthetics. And so, she's got all of her bridesmaids and her mom and her sister. And Colleen's really nice, by the way. She was very sweet and very, very pleasant. And just a lot like a normal bride, honestly. Right. It felt a lot like working with like a normal wedding. Yeah. So as she sits in my chair, we're chatting, and she says, I forget how it came up. It's something like, oh, lip service makeup. I think my friend used you, or something. It's a normal conversation I would have with the bride. Of course. But the producer popped her head out and was like, move along. Can't use that. And she's like, okay. And so we like look at each other like, all right. So we start talking about something else. And then somehow she's talking about how they found her on Instagram and asked her to be on the show. Producer popped. Nope. Move along. Can't use that. Yeah. So, but then what they're wanting, they want for her conversation to be, I don't know what I'm going to do. And what do you think? And I don't know. They want that type of thing that they can, so they have lots of footage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, totally.
Well, that's cool. So how long did that film, or how many?
We were just there one day.
Oh, okay.
So cool. we were there for longer than normal. I would say 7 or 8 hours.
Right, of course.
And then we left, and they have those ubiquitous gold cups, which are funny. They make me laugh. And then they had like the food in the bridal suite. I don't think anybody, it was real food. I don't think anybody touched it. It was very patty perfect. So then we left set. So honestly, I didn't know if she said yes or no, because we left and then they took her to the ceremony area, which is elsewhere. Okay. I mean, it's different part of the property. Right. So I really didn't know for a year if she said yes or no. So I had to wait to watch it. Yeah. I had to wait to watch it. But once it aired, I normally have my hair down today, but normally it's in a ponytail. Right. And I normally have I don't have hoop earrings on today, but I normally have a hoop earrings and a ponytail. And once it aired, it's the Jen look. Once it aired, you can totally see my ponytail swinging, and you can see the hoop ear, like, that's cool. Because it shows like it's facing her, but you can totally see me. Right. And I got all these brides were like, I saw you on Love is Blind.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Pretty fun.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about the queen of bridal beauty, and we're just going to jump right on in. So talk to me about beauty trends for 2024 and what can we expect to see? Okay. Well, right now, and this, I mean, it might be different in other parts of the country. This is what I'm seeing in Dallas, Fort Worth. But the hottest, like hot hairstyle is the tousled Kim K updo. And that is like everywhere. And I've done it on 1 or 2 brides, and then I've done it for a photo shoot. Cool. You know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. That is like hot. That style is one that we have not seen in a while. And I like it for so many reasons, because you can do it messy and make it look modern, or you can do it more formal but it's a sexy, fresh, modern. Right. It's also easy to do. Right. Which I like. Yeah, for sure. With makeup, we see a lot of different things. Definitely seeing like a beat face Instaglam thing starting to go away. Okay. There's always brides that are going to want that. Yeah. My company isn't known for that look. We're known for a soft glam. And me personally as an artist, what I am known for is when I do makeup on someone, it looks like they have a filter, but it's real. So they look like themselves. Love they that. Just look polished. Like you've got this girl's beautiful face,
And it's just my job to polish it and enhance it.
Right.
I don't want to, like, if she's got incredible bone structure, I'm not going to use contour. Why would I do that?
For sure.
If, I'm there to enhance what she's got. And as a result, that's what most of our brides are asking for. But after a couple of years of heavier looks, I'm seeing it shift towards lighter looks. Blush is really having a moment. Everyone wants lots of blush and really bright. So that's really fun. Nude lips are still really in. Nude, but not like the grayish nude that was in a couple years ago. Not that nude.
Right.
More of a fresher, prettier nude. But everyone is just like, they want the fresh, the glow, the dewy. Those are in the Kim K hairdo.
Right.
That is, and also, in part and parcel with that is Hollywood waves have been popular for maybe 2 years, but they're still really hot.
Yeah.
They're still really hot. Lots of variations of that. Parted down the middle, tucked behind, off to one side.
Right.
Lots of different variations of the Hollywood wave. Super hot. And then very smooth chignons. Like very smooth, traditional. What we're not seeing anymore that was everywhere is boho braids.
Right, yeah.
That's really, it's kind of phased out. And people still ask for them on occasion.
Of course.
Like those mermaid braids, we were doing them constantly 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Not as much anymore. But like real messy tously do's, we're just not seeing any of those things. People are shifting toward a more elevated, sophisticated look. And
sleek, classic. Yeah.
And you're probably seeing it too, but with weddings, I've seen more country club weddings, more ballroom weddings, more fancy hotel weddings. That has increased, and so the look is matching that.
Right. No, agree. Absolutely. What about eyelashes? How do you feel about those? Are those an always?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know what's funny? I was telling, our average bride is 25, 26, I'd say.
Okay.
So I'm talking to this 25-year-old bride, and I'm telling her, eyelashes have not always been a thing. She goes, what? What do you mean? And I was like, it's only been popular for 10 or 12 years. She goes, what? She just could not believe that people did not have lashes. And no, there was a whole generation of women, 80s, people who were in their 20s, teens and 20s in the 80s and 90s, no lashes, zero, and even 2000s, really. From 2010 forward, lashes have been the thing. I'm seeing a move away from lash extensions, which I'm happy about. I don't like lash extensions.
I don't have 2 hours to do that either.
Lash extensions, I've seen some that look really good, but overwhelmingly, they're too much, and they're not aesthetically finessed.
Right.
So they just look like, they look like a drag lash or something. It's just, they're not finessed for your eye shape.
Right.
They're just a lot, and it just looks.
I did them about 2 years ago for a hot minute. For sure.
I had them for a while too, but that was one of the reasons I quit doing them. I didn't really like how they weren't finessed for my eye shape, and the fullness should be more towards the middle, arching up towards your brow.
Right.
We're seeing a move away from lash extensions. I see them less and less and less. Definitely strip lashes, all different types. I don't really get a lot of people that ask for individual lashes. Most of the time, they're wanting strip lashes.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, for sure. I just wish I could learn to do it on my own.
I can teach you.
Teach me, please.
I will teach you. I put them on. I have lashes on every day. I even have lashes on.
I know, they look so good.
Thank you. I even have lashes on when I go to Pilates, for real.
I love it. I mean, I'm okay. Wear no makeup and have full lash. That's okay. I love it. All right. Obviously, we're here in Las Vegas, as we can see back here. We're here for Wedding MBA. So how many years have you been coming here to Wedding MBA?
This is my 9th year.
Oh, my gosh.
Speaking at Wedding MBA and attending Wedding MBA.
Wow, that's
amazing. 9 years. It flew by.
That's so crazy. Mm-hmm. So I know obviously you're educational speaker, but tell me more about this, a conflict resolution expert.
Yeah.
I could probably take a little advice on this.
So when I first started speaking, there's not a lot of beauty professionals who are conference speakers. And I think it's because there's not a lot of opportunity to actually talk about hair and makeup. But I really am not interested in talking about that, which is so weird because that's what I do. But what I talk about, which is very near and dear to my heart, is I have a background in communications and conflict resolution. Every job I've ever had, I'm the boss, and I'm in charge of smoothing things out for everybody, building things from the ground up. And, for example, I was the director of Make-A-Wish in Fort Worth. for 10 years.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And one of my jobs at Make-A-Wish was to teach all of my volunteers how to interview families, how to establish trust, how to find out what the kid wants. If, like, the parents are like, oh, they want this, and the kid's quiet, like, you need to ask some more questions, how to finesse that.
Right.
How to handle awkward conversations. If you show up to Wish Family's house and they're like, oh, we're so glad you're here. Now you're going to pay all our bills, right? And you can't just blink back at them. You have to say, no, but we're going to grant a wonderful wish and you're going to love it. It's going to be fantastic. And teaching them how to manage those conversations. And so that, and I also used to manage and consult restaurants. And this is really funny. When I was 18, I was a company trainer for a restaurant chain.
Oh, wow.
Meaning I trained all the other servers, which is nuts. When I think about that now as my much older self, I'm like, I was a child. But I started waiting tables.
You're like, they trusted me.
Well, I started waiting tables, and I think I just discovered that I really had the gift for reading what people would want and how they wanted me
and how to communicate
to be
back.
and how to communicate with them and how to make the process.
Is key.
Yeah, and how to make that process really smooth. Like if they want you to be really fun and entertaining, do that. If they are having a serious conversation, you back off. I just had a natural gift for it, I think. And so from that point forward, I was a company trainer, but that's been a part of every single job I've ever done.
And I think that is truly a gift because there'll be things that happen and I'll be there and I can kind of get a vibe or a feel. And some people can't read that, you know, in any situation. You can kind of see like maybe they're hesitant or whatever, you know, and I think that's definitely a gift for people to be able to kind of read the vibe, you know.
I think where people screw up is they want to be their authentic selves, which you should be your authentic self. But this is the way that I would explain it. And so this is my best tip on managing. This is basic stuff.
Tell me.
Think about your personality, who you are. Maybe you're quiet and reserved, but maybe you have different elements to your personality. I'm always me. I'm always authentically me.
Right.
But depending on the situation I'm in, it could be, think of your favorite song. It could be the acoustic singer-songwriter version, which is more chill and laid back. It could be the pop upbeat version on radio.
Right.
It could be the banger club version.
Right.
It's still the same song, but you're just adjusting the tempo and how it's a lot like that. So I'm always me. I'm not fake. Like I'm not some fake version of me. I'm still me. But
you're a lot like me.
Yeah. I know we have a lot in common, I think.
Kind of real. It's hard to not be real, you know?
It's the only way I know how to be. Who's got the energy to be anything else? But it's just adjusting. If you have a bridal party that is really fun and you come in and you're really quiet and don't talk, you're really hampering their mood for the day.
Right, yeah. You got to give the same vibe.
You need to give the same vibe and energy. And if if they're really kind of reserved and you're like, what? You're really going to.
A little too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of bouncing on that, like I've had people come in for a consultation. They're very like, no personality, like whatever. And I'm just still myself. And then I'm like, I couldn't read them. I'm like, do they like me or not? And they'll email back and be, oh my God, we loved you. And I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. So it just, sometimes it's different how people, interact for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you're speaking here at Wedding MBA and you're speaking on Princess Brides. Is there any Princess Bride stories that take the cake?
Oh, yes.
Sure, we could go all day on this.
So, and if, what I'm speaking actually in the bridal gown section.
Okay.
But it's really anyone can listen to this because it's not pertaining just to a bridal shop owner. They wanted this topic in that section and didn't have any bridal shop owners who were able to speak on that. But yeah, in my realm of entitled princess brides, that's what we're talking about. I had a bride last year. Man, she just wore me out. She called me constantly, which is fine. I don't mind. Asked me a ton of questions and then refused to listen to anything that I said. And I think it's like that. I don't want to work with someone who disregards and disrespects my 30 years of experience. But also, why are you hiring me? Like, if you don't want to listen... Like what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah. Why are you hiring me if you think you know better?
Right.
Like
do your own makeup.
And you don't know better. But she had this is the type of there were many things, but this is one of the things. She had extremely curly C pattern hair, like really tight curls. Okay. And we had many conversations about how to prep that. And I said, you can arrive with your hair curly. We can work with that texture, finesse those curls. If you want it smooth, you've got to arrive with your hair smooth so we can work from that perspective. And I told her what products to use, the stuff even at home, like what mousse to buy, what wide tooth comb to buy.
You're becoming her personal assistant
Yeah,
at this point.
like really going above and beyond to give her the information that she wanted. And she rewarded me by showing up with her hair curly and wanting it smooth and having straight hair extensions she wanted me to clip in. And being...
Because that's easy.
I mean, to anyone listening, I guarantee there's a ton of people listening who don't even do hair, who are like, what the heck? That's not how it works. Like that old Geico commercial. That's not how all of this works.
Or I love when they were like, are they going to wash and dry my hair? No.
What?
I know.
But, and it wasn't like she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot, or, oh, I thought it would be okay. She was just like, what? What's the big deal? And just,
the demeanor.
To me, the entitlement, I will bend over backwards for you, and I will just do everything you could possibly want. The minute you start treating me like the help, we're done. The minute you start treating me
We've
like...
been called the help several times before.
Yeah.
Oh, the help. They'll help.
Yeah, the minute you're talking down to me,
yeah,
there's a big difference between like, oh, what do you think about this? Or do you mind fixing this? Or we're here to serve. I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do. I'll help you with all kinds of things. I'll grab your water. I'm whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the minute you start doing like, and I'm, for those who can't see, I'm like looking down my nose. Like the minute someone's like that.
So do you have a difficult bride test that you have? Or is there questions you ask or?
No, it's not like one or two specific things, but it's basically, I'm looking for a spirit of collaboration.
Of course.
If I don't feel like someone wants to collaborate or, like I don't mind if someone's real picky and they're like, this is what I want and I like this and I like that and I'm very particular. That's totally fine.
It's actually nice sometimes that they're like that.
I don't mind. Someone who's picky knows what they want, and sometimes they can be easier to work with. But what I'm looking for is someone who's like, you are the pro. I am hiring you. I am entrusting you to take care of me.
Absolutely.
And thus, I'm going to work with you to make sure that I hear what you're saying, and I'm like, I want to collaborate. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying before about the help. That's what's missing in that scenario, is they're not collaborating with you as a vendor and a client. They're just like, you're here to kick around. So what I'm looking for is that spirit of collaboration.
No, I agree. And even the excitement, I always kind of relate this to like concerts, like a singer or a band, they kind of relay off the guests, the partiness, their interaction too, so kind of the same thing, obviously you're saying their spirit, but obviously the enthusiasm that they're excited to work with you too, that definitely makes me even more excited.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, I love your work. Like I really want to chat and see if we can work
together. I love that.
You know what
occasionally, I mean? The relationship you have with the clients is more involved and much longer.
Course.
Sometimes for us, it can be kind of short. Someone maybe we have a date sitting open 2 months from now. Right. She's sitting there, or we still have availability. We might have 3 or 4 events. We can squeeze in one more. Someone might reach out and be like, oh, I need a hair and makeup team. Great. They put down their retainer. They come for their trial. I spent 2 hours with them at the trial. And they're like, great, awesome, thanks. Love
See you on wedding day.
See you on wedding day.
True, yeah.
I mean, I don't consider those people difficult at all. It doesn't happen too often, but I would say my instance of difficult clients is very low because of the tools and techniques I teach.
You're good communication.
The tools and techniques I teach, I use myself.
Right.
So my difficult clients, really low. Occasionally I have people I don't connect with. Like,
it happens.
They're fine. They're happy. I mean, we don't hate each other or anything, but we just didn't form a really good.
I mean, it happens all the time. I meet clients, oh my God, I'm obsessed. I love you guys, and then like you said, everything goes wonderful. It's just.
There's just not that same connection. Yeah. And then the next bride is like, you're the best. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to call you for everything. And then.
Right. We're going to be friends after.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to this party. I need my makeup. And I'm having a baby and I need pictures for that. I need makeup for that. And, we're friends for forever.
Yeah, and that's the thing with what you do. I mean, it's not like you need makeup one day in your life, you never need it again.
Right.
I mean, if they do a family photo shoot, or if they're going out for their birthday, or maybe another wedding they're attending. You know?
I love that. I love, oh my gosh, it is the best when a bride books and she's like, well, Susie Q is my maid of honor. And she said, you're the best. And so then we book, and then I walk in and I see Susie Q and then the new bride. And
it just makes you feel so good and like warm-hearted.
So good.
I love that. There's
I love it.
A client I recently did. So I've done all 3 daughters' weddings now. And it just always felt good to come back, and I was kind of like a part of the family for like a really, special day too. So.
It's my favorite, because one of the things that I love so much about doing weddings versus commercial work, which I like commercial work too, but I didn't skew my career fully in that direction. I skewed it more towards bridal because I love the connection. Yeah. The connection is one of the things that makes me feel fulfilled, and that's what I'm looking for.
Right.
So it's okay if occasionally it doesn't happen, but that's one of the things that really brings me joy.
No, for sure. Okay, so client red flags. Is there any on your side that you would say? I mean, obviously in the wedding industry, we have our red flags for wedding planning, but is there red flags on your side?
Yes, there's several red flags, and I actually did a talk about this in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
It was, I did a talk about toxic clients, and red flags was one of the sections I put in there. I think a red flag, now this will surprise you, but someone trying to be too friendly with you, like really trying to form a relationship too fast, is a red flag. I have discovered, like, someone who's like, oh, you're the best, and you're on, like, they've known you for 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden they're like, we should go have wine, and someone horning in too quickly, those people want to take advantage of you. They're trying to, now, not always, but I'm just saying, when I look back at I've done
now that you say that, I'm thinking about some clients. I'm like, yep, shouldn't have went to lunch or whatever it was.
I've done thousands of weddings, thousands.
I know.
So when I look back at all the weddings I've done, and the difficult, every year there's a handful, it's something that was consistent, is someone is trying to push in really hard so that they can ask for discounts, so that they can get special favors, so that they can not follow your rules, so that they can not pay your invoice on time because they want you to feel friendly so they can get away with things. So,
that is such a great point.
Yeah, that
is so true.
Yeah, people are thinking that difficult is mean or whatever. I think difficult can also mean from a vendor partner. I had a planner I was working with who was very nice and very kind and very sweet, but she was incredibly difficult. The clients that we were working with, she kept throwing how rich they were. Oh, they're so wealthy. They're so wealthy. They're so wealthy. Like, I really don't care.
That doesn't mean anything to you.
It doesn't mean anything to me if they don't pay their invoice and don't sign their contract. And so I
know all about that.
We had a really hard time nailing down the details. I had a really hard time collecting payment. It's the only time in my entire career I had to tell somebody, I'm pulling my team of 5 from this huge wedding if I don't have that money in my bank account this afternoon. I've never, ever had to say that. Like, you need to direct deposit it into my bank. I need to see that money this afternoon, or we are not coming.
Yep, it's got a wire.
Because they would not. I have structure set up for a reason. There needs to be, just like you do.
Yeah.
You have structure around the way you do business.
So we have contracts.
You have
which
contracts.
We'll talk about in a minute.
You have structure for a reason, and whether or not you're wealthy, you still have to work within the constructs of my business.
Of course.
And it's like, if, maybe your final balance was due yesterday and it's 2 days later, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to pay it. I'm sending it now.
Of course. No big deal. Yeah.
I don't even have
Or if they give you a heads up, hey, I'm out of town, I'm going to be back on Monday.
No, I don't care.
I can Venmo it over or whatever.
I don't even have a late fee, because that happens so rarely. Things like, normal things like, oh, I'm so sorry, or, oh gosh, you sent me that contract. I'm signing it now. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, the wedding is
tomorrow,
a week away, and we still don't have these details in place, and that's insane. Right. So throwing wealth is another thing that you might not think is a red flag, but I think it is, because throwing wealth as an excuse to not work within the constructs of my business, or these rules don't apply to us because we're wealthy. And how wealthy you are, good for you. happy for you.
Well, if you're so wealthy, you pay your bills, right?
If you're so wealthy, yeah. But I mean, how much money you have means nothing to me.
No.
I don't pick on people who don't have money. I'm like, whatever you got, good for you.
Absolutely.
But I need you to work within the constructs of my business so this can go smoothly.
So I'm gonna have to tell one of my girls this because this recently happened. She was like, "Well, they drive a Lamborghini and they have all this money, but they still haven't paid their bill." So, red flag. So I would say one of the red flags that we see on our side is when the groom is involved. Do you ever have the groom involved on the hair and makeup?
Pretty rarely. No, pretty rarely.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't think so, but.
You want to hear a 2-second story?
Absolutely.
It's really fast.
Okay.
I mean, really, it's very rare for the grooms to be involved. And usually the only thing that might happen is maybe if they're from out of town, the bride and groom might arrive together for her trial run because he's dropping her off or something.
Okay, yeah.
And usually they're super sweet and really nice and kind, but had a bride who's no longer married. Her wedding didn't even last to where she could pick up her album.
Oh, God.
But she had a trial run and just could not decide what she wanted. Didn't know at all. Did she want to be dramatic or natural? She had no idea who she was or what she wanted. Then she had her bridal session. For those of you who are not in the South, bridal session is something we do in the South.
Right.
You do a full dress rehearsal and take photos, just so.
Well, and I always
those
tell
of you
people,
who don't know, that's what it is.
I know, right? I've had people from the North, and they're like, what is it?
What is it?
Well, and I'm like, well, we don't have to display the bridal at the reception, but you're going to get your hair and makeup done. You're going to see how you like it looks. You're going to get a
and
bouquet.
then you capture that.
Yeah, and then you kind of get to feel, because people don't really walk around in their dress and kind of see everything set. So I'm all for that.
So she came for her bridal session with her fiance, and he sat on the couch right by, and watched the whole thing. And she's like, what do you think? What do you think? He's like, I think you need like a 90s porn star vibe. And my eyes got like this big. I was like, it's like, like think Pam Anderson kind of a situation.
OMG.
Like matte brown lips. Like, I was like, what?
Oh my God. I'm so dead.
And the same girl who didn't know what she wanted, when he said, this is what I want. And then he was like, yeah, you look hot. She's like, perfect, great. And hopped down. And I was like, this is not a healthy situation.
This isn't going to work.
This is not a good situation.
All right, we're going back to the contracts, because I've seen very rarely hair and makeup have too much like content in their contract. Tell me some things that maybe you've added to your contract in the last few years that because of something that happened, I guess.
Well, it's an interesting point, because I think some people have way too much stuff in their contract. And I think someone reading through it is kind of, I think it's a fine dance between what you need to cover yourself,
of course,
and what is going to really make a client be like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
So
obviously for the monetary reasons, when the money's due and things like that.
Right, of course. But like if you put in there, like there's no refunds if you don't like it, but people are thinking like, oh, so people don't like it? I don't know. It's just, what I'm saying?
Can't really put that in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Those things don't happen in my business, so I don't have anything like that in my contract. I don't have late fees because I don't really allow for that. I run a tight ship, and it really doesn't happen too often, so I don't even have that in there. But some of something that I put in that is crucial is if you're getting married and we're doing your hair and makeup from 10 to 3, I have that in one part of the contract, but then I also have 5 service hours required. The reason those 2 things are important, it's not uncommon. Maybe the 10 to 3 needs to shift to 9:30 to 2:30.
Of course, yeah, depending on final schedules.
But that 5 service hours required, it's in 3 spots very clearly. And it says we're doing this many services, this many artists, this many service hours required. That prevents people from trying to shave it all off, which happens a lot. So I'll get a timeline back from a planner, and all of a sudden they've got me doing hair and makeup for 3.5 hours, and I can reach out to her and say, like, no, our contract, 5 service hours required.
Right.
So if we need to push earlier, we can do that. But 5 service hours required.
Yeah,
like
makes sense.
If I didn't have that, it would be much harder to get everyone to comply. Right. So that's something for me that's really important. What else? My retainer's non-refundable.
Of course.
If someone doesn't show up to get services on wedding day, that's non-refundable. That's something that definitely comes in. And I think another thing, I'm thinking about things that people actually come up. If you're booking for bride plus 10 and then 2 of your bridesmaids back out, we can swap them for someone else, but I'm not taking them off the contract. We don't remove things from a contract.
Yeah. No, agree.
And it's funny because a lot of people just think we can.
Well, I mean, you've reserved your team for that day too.
Well, if we did, why would we even bother having a contract?
Yeah.
Like if, that would be like, oh, Susie Q Bride, I know I promised I was going to be there, but I'm really going to be there 2 hours later. That's cool, right?
Then what was the purpose? Yeah.
What was the purpose? We're making a promise to each other. We're both protected. And occasionally I'll encounter brides that they want to be protected, but they want for everything on my side to be negotiable. And so when that happens, I use my tools and techniques and I don't get defensive. And I just be like, no problem. You can swap someone else in their place.
Right. Mother of the bride, a cousin, a niece. All right. So what would you say, since we're talking about contracts, what's the first thing once they sign, do the deposit, what's the first thing you communicate to them?
Well, once that all happens, usually people are booking most commonly 9 to 12 months in advance. Not always.
Right.
If they come to the party late, then that's different. If they're booking at that time frame, 9 to 12 months out.
Did you brides hear that? 9 to 12 months
9
out.
to 12 months.
Not 3 months before.
Yeah. If you want the vendor you want, 9 to 12 months.
If you want the best, at least a year.
Yes. Because then you'll be sad if we're full.
Right.
So if it happens that way, I send them an email. And this has been, I've already communicated this once, but I communicated again. We've got your signed contract. We've got your retainer, your lip service official. And then I say, when you're ready to schedule your bridal session, here's where it happens. Here's how long it is. We do them Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you're ready, reach out to me with 3 possible dates and we'll get it scheduled. And I do something a little crazy.
Let's hear it.
I tell every single bride that they can call or text me anytime. Now,
you are crazy.
I know. And I knew as a planner, I would not expect any other wedding people listening. Like, I'm not expecting a lot of people to do this. It works for me because I'm the owner and I handle most of the communication. I have an assistant that helps me with emails, but the client interactions, I handle all of it. So if I'm here in Las Vegas and someone's emailing me and they have an urgent request, I would much rather they shoot me a text and say, hey, blah, blah, blah.
What's going on? Yeah.
Can you tell me about this? And I can shoot them back a quick response versus them getting frustrated. And I also don't have regular hours. I can't have office hours because we have weddings on Thursdays. We have weddings on Mondays. I could be on set with Dateline or something. Like,
right.
I can't say you can only call me between 9 and 6 Monday through Thursday. What am I doing? If I'm not on set or not at a wedding, we're doing trials and bridals.
Of course.
So when I'm doing all those things, I can't take phone calls. So that means I communicate with people, at night, 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I return phone calls if I have a break in between lunchtime. So for me, I let my client know that up front.
That's cool.
And people don't take advantage of it. And I think the reason they don't is because they feel like, okay, if I need her, I can get her.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Well, and I think that's what part of makes you so successful too. Mm-hmm. I mean, being able for them to communicate you and not feel like, the bank's only open from 9 to 5, so you can only go at those times,
Right.
Even if they did email you at 9 o'clock at night, let's just say you had a later night, you could email them back later, So
yeah, if they call or text me, I'm never made a promise I'm always available.
Right. No, of course.
But I've already gotten 1 or 2 texts this morning that I'll answer later, But I think what it is just letting them know I'm your person. Here's who I am. Here's how to find me. You need something, you come to me and I got you. I think that's the special sauce right there.
No, I agree.
That's what they want. And that's what it does is it makes them feel like,
she's
and then
there for
they're
me.
they're not nitpicking. They're not worried. They're not, are you sure they're not doing any of that. They're like, she's got it.
I love it. All right. So tell me how you do all of this. How do you do all this? How do you make it all happen?
And how do you mean? How do you mean?
Well, obviously I know you have an assistant. Just running the business and keeping up with everything and having a normal life too and having a little fun.
You know what? I think I've just always been this way from the time I was 12 or 13. Well, when I was 13, I was a freshman in high school. I skipped a grade. So I was really young. So when I was 13, I was a freshman in high school. I joined drill team. I was in Spanish club. I was in Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I did church activities and had family activities. And I just was like, love it. Like,
right.
There's something about just being busy and engaged and around people and stuff to do that's just who I am down at my core. So
and you feel fulfilled.
I feel fulfilled doing it.
Like there's never a time I'm like, I'm bored.
No.
Like that's not a thing. Or the girls are like in the office, what can we do? I'm like, hold on, let me pull up my list. I got plenty of things for you to do.
No. So I think that part of it is I like the pace. I like the busyness. I like the volume.
And you're clearly very passionate about it, which helps too.
Yes. Also, I have 4 stepkids. They're adults. So it's much easier now. I was talking to a vendor who's like 30, and she was like, I just wish I could do all the things you do. And I said, yeah, but you're 30 and you have a 2-year-old.
Right, yeah.
That's a different, you're at a very different time in your business. You know, for me, I'm in my 50s. Not only
Still can't believe that.
Oh, you're very sweet. Not only do I not really have, and my husband's real busy too. He owns a digital marketing agency and he plays lead guitar in a band, his band, that's very successful.
Right.
And last week they gigged Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and put out a new single.
Oh my gosh.
So he's the exact same way.
Right.
So I'm married to someone who lives a similar lifestyle.
Of course.
And we don't, like our kids are all adults. They're 20 to 28, 20, 22, 23, and 28.
Oh my gosh.
So they're all adults. And I don't have to take someone to soccer, and that's not.
Pick them up.
And, yeah.
Yeah. No,
and
sure.
So we're at a stage in our lives where we're like, we're going to blow this out of the water. We're going to do everything we can do. I'm not sitting in a position where I'm like, oh, I'll just do that later. I'll get around to it. Like I'm just taking the bull by the horns, and everything I can accomplish now, I want to accomplish.
I love it. So how many team members do you have on your team?
Right now I have 22.
OMG.
So I have 2 assistants. I have 1 assistant who helps me with email. I have 1 wedding day assistant who is my niece. She's worked for me since she was 15. She's 25. I love her.
That's awesome.
Shout out to Ashley. I love you,
hey,
Ashley.
Ashley's awesome.
Love you. I love, and my assistant Shannon, we've been friends for a long time too. I actually met her. She was a venue manager, and she's a planner. She's a fantastic assistant because she really gets it. Love you too, Shannon. And then the other girls on my team, I have a few girls, Priscilla, Amber, Amanda. They've been with me for several years. And then Lydia, I've got a bunch of girls who are kind of like my core people who've been with me a long time. Right. And then I have some newer people I've added in, but man, I love those girls. They're so great. I couldn't do what I do without them.
Right. Same. I couldn't do it without all my girls and my team. So how do you schedule them? That's something I want to know. Like wedding day, because obviously you're doing multiple events and weddings and things. Like, is that something that you just send in an email, or how do you keep that organized? Especially if everybody's out in one day. You know what I mean?
It takes a lot of organization to do it. But what happens is the first wedding who books that meets our minimum, I plug in myself.
Okay.
So the very first wedding that books and is of an adequate size. So typically it's going to be, I'll be doing at least 6 makeups. My hairstylist will be doing at least 6 hairs. Cool. The first wedding that comes along that looks like that, I'm going to plug in myself and my lead hairstylist. Cool. Okay. Next wedding that comes along, I'm plugging in my lead makeup artist and then another one of my lead hairstylists or more people,
right? Of course.
If needed, and so on and so forth. We've done as many as 7 in one day, which is a lot. Bananas. I wouldn't recommend it. We can comfortably do 4 or 5.
Right.
That means I got a bunch of the team working. We're all in different cities.
Feel confident.
I feel confident we can. 4 is no problem, right. Really.
Absolutely. And when you only have 1, same with us. Like when I'm like, did I forget something? I only have 1 event to go to. You know.
Yeah.
And so I need more.
Yeah. And so my process is, when I send a Google Calendar invite to clients for appointments. Like if you were coming for a trial, you would get a Google Calendar invite that you're included on, and my hairstylist is included on, and I'm included on. Cool. It would have all the prep notes and information in that. Wedding day, clients are not included. That's our internal information. Of course,
they don't need to know.
So all of my team gets a Google Calendar invite, where it is, when it is. I even put the names of all the girls. I put all the vendors. Cool. All the information that pertains to the wedding is there. Part of the reason I do that is if I ever need to go back and look at something, I know exactly. All I have to do is go to July 5th and I can see all the stuff. So all the information is there. And then my assistant throughout the month, usually once or twice a week, she'll check all the bookings and make sure everything's assigned. Because I send a calendar invite, do you want this booking? And then my people can say yes or no. So if they say no, that's what my assistant's looking for. Cool. So when I'm sending a Google Calendar invite for weddings, that is our internal parking place. If anyone's familiar with Basecamp or Dropbox, it's a little bit like that. It's accessible to everyone. All the information about that wedding is there, and I can update it in real time. So if we shift the time a little bit, I can do that and then send out an email to everybody involved. Hey, we're shifting the time a little bit. Right. If we change the get ready location. Also, all of that is there for my assistant to see. And as we get, like right now, she's double checking all the weddings for not this weekend. That's done. Right. Next weekend. Cool. So she's checking next weekend and the weekend after. She's making sure all of the artists are in place. She's making sure all the final payments have come in. She's making sure that there's no notes, because if there's a problem, like if I'm like, I still need to talk to the planner about this timeline, I'm not sure about this timeline, it's in there. Right. So she sees that, she'll put it in my list to remind me. Yeah. And then about a week before, I make a day of schedule for the girls, and I just do it in Google because it's in real time. Same thing, I can send them a link. So if you're
updated,
and I can update it in real time. So if I update it, you still have the updated version. Cool. But I create a schedule, and on the schedule, I have it two ways. On the side, I have all the people, bride, Susie Q, bridesmaid, mom, blah, blah, blah. And I have their hair time, their makeup time, hair time, makeup time, hair time, makeup time. And then on the other side, I have our schedule. Jen, 6 makeups. These are the people I'm doing makeup on, in which order. Right. So, these are the people I'm doing. And just, it's really, really organized.
No, that's awesome.
The more organized you are, the smoother it goes.
Agree. And the more successful the event or wedding will be. Mm-hmm. All right. So tell me, what the craziest thing that's happened, when you're doing someone's hair or makeup. Anything exciting?
You know what? Sometimes you think, I've seen it all, and nothing can shock me. Nothing. Well, this flippin' shocked me. So I'm doing this girl's hair. I go in to fluff her. She already had her hair done, but I just wanted to fluff it. Right. So I went in with a little pick, a little hair thing. And I go in to fluff her hair, and her ear falls off.
Stop.
So it goes conk on the floor.
Stop. So
there's an ear with an earring. And my brain almost exploded because it was like, what?
Is there blood?
What? What is happening? What? I mean, it took me a few seconds to realize it's a prosthetic ear. But if you've never seen a prosthetic ear, it looks real. It looks exact. That's the whole point, right?
So it was the whole thing?
Yes. It attached with magnets.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Not cool that it fell off.
And so,
did she just have one like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of went, and I froze. Have you ever seen those memes where it's loading, loading?
That was you.
My brain was searching, loading, what's happening. And
so was she funny about it?
She kind of went, and she goes, I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you I have a prosthetic ear. And I was like, I just looked at her and I said, please tell me we can laugh about this because this is real funny. And she's like, oh, yeah, we can laugh about it. And so then it's someone
So could she hear out of that ear?
No.
Okay.
No. And it's someone I know, not super well. We've met each other before and we know each other, but we've never discussed that. I didn't know. And she was born without an ear canal on one side. Aww. Which is actually a really common birth defect.
Is it?
It is. I didn't know that, but she told me. So basically, your ear canal is what brings the sound waves in, and then the bones inside your ear would allow you to hear. So people who don't have an ear canal, they can still hear. They have a cochlear implant, or it looks, if you've seen it, it clips on the side of your head.
Right.
That brings the sound waves in for you. But I think the prosthetic ear was somewhat new, and I don't think she realized it could pop off. But literally, she left. We had a good laugh about it, and it was fine. And she left the studio.
That takes the cake.
She left the studio, and I was like, hands up. That's it. That's it. Like, just when you think you've seen it all, no.
You haven't seen it all.
Then awesome. you have an ear on the floor.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming to see us and coming on This Takes the Cake. Jennifer Trotter, Lip Service Makeup. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes. You can find me at Lip Service Makeup everywhere. So it's Lip Service Makeup on Facebook, Lip Service Makeup on Instagram, Lip Service Makeup on TikTok. So
love it.
Easy peasy.
And I'm a follower too.
Yeah, so. And lipservicemakeup.com, of course. So it's really, really easy. And then my speaking stuff is under The Jen Trotter. So thejentrotter.com, and then The Jen Trotter on Instagram. And on Facebook, it's just Jen Trotter. But anyway, there you go.
And so
that's where you can find me.
Jen is in Dallas, Texas, but I'm sure she'd love to get on an airplane and come do your hair and makeup wherever you're located.
Absolutely.
So awesome.
I would for sure.
Well, thank you for coming on. It was great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
This takes the cake.